What's going on YouTube? Thanks very much for joining me. Sorry it's been a few weeks since my last video. I had a bit of a rough Christmas with the fibromyalgia. I ended up falling a couple of times and was bedridden through most of it, but hopefully we're making progress and getting back to things at the moment. One of the things I'm going to talk about this in a minute, but one of the things that I want to ask you is, are you interested in seeing the workshop thus far? Because I mean, it's a young channel, so normally I think people want to see sort of workshop tours and things with established channels, and I don't know if that's the case. So let me know in the comments if you want to see, because this is where most of my learning has come from making all of the kind of cabinets and tables and things. None of it is overly special, but it's what I've used to learn how to do a lot more woodwork, which has really been helpful for me before I get into the other things. Now also, just before I get into this, I have got my video coming of making some or a series showing how a new woodworker can think about, design, make and prototype and then try and sell on Etsy a product, and if it's possible for a new woodworker. I've not done it yet, so we're going to go through that journey together. That will be very, very soon, but the reason it's not this video is because, like I said, had a rough Christmas, so I'm just kind of getting back into things slowly but surely. But today we're going to be talking about the Titan Bandsaw. The reason we're talking about it is because it's 125 quid in Screwfix, and so being this cheap and cheerful, much like my Titan table saw that I had, is it any good for the money? I mean, that's the question that if you're new you want to know, and I'll expand on this in another video, but I'm a strong proponent of buying cheap tools to start with, and then if you find that you use them and you learn about them and you try and customize them, you do what you can with them, and then you find that you need something more, at that point you can go out and buy something that's more expensive, that's more of an investment, rather than spending the big money up front and then realizing A, you don't know how to use something, and B, you're not really sure how it's supposed to work. So yeah, this falls in line with the table saw with regards to that. And this bandsaw, I've had it now for 6 months, I think. Pretty much one of the first things that I bought. And yeah, I've done a couple of changes to it, which I figured would be worth sharing with you guys. So first off is the fence. Now everybody knows that cheap fences on cheap gear are generally quite horrific. So let's talk about the fence. And we know that when it comes to fences, most fences on these cheap products tend to be pretty poor, and this was no different. This would move around and be a bit of a nightmare. But it was actually on one of Peter Millard's 10-minute workshop videos that I saw a comment from somebody saying a fix, and I've tried it and it's worked really well, and I haven't seen anybody mention it in a in a review, so I thought I'd do it. And that fix is this: it's simply sticking a ruler to the underside of this. Now I did have to cut off the very end of that ruler to fit. Was it that side or the other side? I think it was this side. I just had to use my grinder to wang that off, but otherwise it fits brilliantly. And I just used a bit of double-sided tape, I think it was, that holds this on there, and jobs are good. And so then now when we put that fence on the table and tying it down, that's going absolutely nowhere. That is really, really solid now, and one of the best things that I've done with this table saw. Right, let's have a look at the next one. Okay, so this is a simple little fix for something, and this is one of the annoyances with this table saw, and it's because we've got these long screws that have to be in, but if you want to unscrew them, there's got a ton of threads. Again, something that Peter's talked about on his video. However, I haven't got around to replacing the screws, but I did get just a couple of bits of plastic that were kicking around and rubbish, drilled a couple of holes in them, put them on the outside, and that now means that this is sitting outside of the casing. Rather than needing a screwdriver, I can do it with my fingers, just undo that, and then I can pull that apart. But like you see, it's pretty damn easy to to just kind of put a little bit of plastic there, and it just makes sure that the screw remains slightly proud of what you're doing, which just has made my life a lot easier. And that's something that I've done on both the top and the bottom one of these. Okay, next we've got this little zero clearance. When you have the plate that comes with the saw, it's one of these little puppies right here. And the problem with this is this massive great hole, because it has to take into account the angled table, if you want to use that. Is that this is massive, and I kept getting loads of small pieces of wood going down here, and it caused quite the annoyance. So what I've done is I've just got a little tiny bit of hardboard. I need to make another one, to be honest with you, that is a little bit taller, because this is slightly inside the hole there, but that's just something that I've stuck down with a couple of bits of double-sided sticky tape on either side, and that allows me to have a zero clearance on that blade, and yeah, no more getting stuff stuck underneath. One of the other things that I've made that I'm really happy with is this, and I can go into more detail on this if anybody needs it, but it's super simple. Essentially, it's just an old cupboard door that I've drilled holes in all the way along there. Now what that means is that I've got a dowel sticking out of this bottom one, and I can pick that dowel out and put it in any one of those. Now, why do we need to do that? Well, we've got a couple of fixings underneath here and here, and that means that we can pop that on the table, and that allows us just simply to cut straightforward circles with the bandsaw. Super easily, super safely and quickly, and with no problem at all. All we have to do is, as I say, cut out a square or something, put a hole in the middle of it, stick that hole on there, and then I can have the saw running, bring this in slowly, and then just slowly, catchy monkey, turn the thing and get a perfect circle as a result. I made a couple of clocks for Christmas presents with that technique, and yeah, it works really well. So just to pop that on there, makes no issues at all, and you can clamp it down as well if you want to, depending on the size of whatever you're making. But it's super easy to make something like this, and yeah, just threw it together, and job's a good one. So there you go. And finally, as with any of these, it's important to make sure that you keep it dusted, to keep the dust out of it. I am terrible with remembering to hook up my dust collection to the back of it, so I can't tell you how effective that is. However, what I can say is quite regularly, maybe once a week, I will go in here and I'll vacuum out all of the wood shavings from both the top and the bottom, and that certainly does help things. And as you should always do with all of these things, is I replaced the blade. Now this blade isn't a particularly posh one, I just wanted to get a basic replacement, so this is a cheapie from Screwfix, but it has made such a difference. Also, to ensure that you do have the blade tightened properly, that you do set up your guides properly on both the top and the bottom, and yeah, it's in good running order. Those things have made such a difference. One other thing that I will just remind you, if you're cutting a bit of wood and you're finding that the blade is straying, it's not plugged in at the moment, so just don't be worried about that, and you find that this blade strays, then a couple of things could be the factor for that. One could be that the tension isn't great. Two could be that the guides on the inside are not where they should be. And three could be that this is just too long and you've got a really kind of angry grain that wants to take the blade elsewhere in the wood that you're cutting. So make sure that you do lower that guide, and that makes sure that your guides have a shorter amount of blade showing, so they're more likely to do their job and make sure that the blade does go in a straight line. So yeah, that's just something that you can always do. And to be honest with you, now I've got this this blade in here, while I do want to get another one when I can afford it, this seems to be doing a cracking job. So, is the Titan a fantastic bit of kit? For the money, I really do think it is. There's a lot on the market and there's a lot of cheapies that are very, very similar. And to be honest with you, you'll have similar issues with most of them. Would this be lovely with a really accurate cast table? Absolutely. Could it have better bearings and tensioners and runners? Absolutely. Could it have better guides and all that sort of stuff? Absolutely. But all of those things are what makes the cost of an expensive bandsaw exactly what it is. And so, like I said at the start of this video, if you have not used a product like this before, as I hadn't, then getting this means that I've had time to be able to fettle with it, to be able to make jigs for it, to try and understand what causes issues with it and to try and fix them. And then if I do get a more expensive bandsaw down the line and it comes up with a problem, I can go, it's dead easy to fix on this one because all I've got to do is you know, and that's all you need to worry about. So getting the experience on a cheap machine like this as a beginner, I think is absolutely worthwhile. And so for 125 quid, I've had no problems with this. I think this is a cracking little easy to get affair, and obviously this isn't sponsored or anything, but I will say that every time any time I've had to take anything back to Screwfix, even though I've had it for a while, no problems at all. I've not had any issues with returns or fixes or refunds or anything like that, and that I think is nice to have that sort of peace of mind as a beginner. So hopefully this has helped you. If you do try to cut little kind of curves and things, just as a reminder, keep the blade moving forward. Try not to kind of twist it without the blade moving in that hole. If you just twist it, then the blade will go off on itself, and that won't be very clever. But if you keep it moving forward as you're twisting the curves, then you'll be surprised at how nice and round and curvy and things you can get with this little puppy. So all in all, I'm pleased I've got this. I've got no plans on changing it in the near future. It does what I need, apart from I do wish this was a wider jaw. You can see all the specs on the Screwfix website, but if this was taller, this would be considerably better when it comes to splitting down wood. But no, for most projects, 99% of what I've done, this has been brilliant. Hope that's been helpful for you, and if you've got any questions or if you've got one and have got an opinion on it, please do leave your comments down below. Thanks very much, and I'll see you very, very soon.